Today's objective is today we'll compare lengths of two objects by counting on using a number line. Now it's your turn to repeat today's objective back to me. Today we'll compare lengths of two objects by counting on using a number line. Nice job. Now let's go over our important vocabulary. So our first word is counting on. Everybody say counting on. Now tap your head if you remember learning about how to count on this year. We did it way at the beginning of the year when we were learning all sorts of different addition strategies. Great. Now when we count on, basically all that means is we're counting up from a number. Now our second word is compare. Everybody say compare. Nice job. Now when we compare something, all that means is we look closely at two or more objects to see how they are similar or how they're different. Now our last word is number line. Now you're all super familiar with number lines because we've used them many times throughout the year. Now a number line is just a tool that we use to help us track numbers. And down below at the bottom of your screen, you can see an example of a number line. In order to complete today's lesson, we have to follow these 4 simple steps. Step 1 is to identify the two objects we're comparing. Step 2 is to draw or use a number line to count on. Step 3 is to compare the measurements. And step 4 is to compare the measurements using words in a full sentence. Next, I'm going to model a couple of problems. So the directions at the top of the page say, draw a number line to compare the two measurements. Number 1 says, Samantha wants to compare the lengths of her two dolls. Doll 1 is 12 inches long and doll 2 is 18 inches long. So I already have a number line printed in my math book, so I don't need to draw one. But if my math book didn't already have one, then I would just start by drawing a number line. Now, the next step is to mark each doll's measurement on the number line. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is 12 inches long. So I find 12 on the number line, and just like we used to when we were doing addition, I just put a dot on number 12. Then I'm going to also put a dot over doll 2, which is 18 inches long. So I find 18 on the number line, and I mark it with my dot. Next, all I have to do is count up the difference from 12 to 18. Or in other words, I'm counting how many bunny hops it takes to get from 12 to 18. So 12 is my starting point, 18 is my ending point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, I draw my arrow to show where I land, and I had to take 6 bunny hops. So down below it says doll 1 is shorter by blank inches, and doll 2 is shorter by blank inches. Well, when I look up at my number line, remember doll 1 was 12 inches long, doll 2 was 18 inches long. So that means that doll 1 is shorter by 6 inches, and doll 2 is longer by 6 inches. So all I do down here is I write the total number of bunny hops I took on my number line, because that tells me the difference between the two lengths. The directions at the top of this page say, draw a number line to compare the two measurements. Then number 2 says, Dylan wants to know how much shorter he is than the basketball hoop. He knows the basketball hoop is 10 feet tall, and he measures 4 feet tall. He wants to compare the two heights. Then, on the left side, there is a vertical number line this time instead of a horizontal one, which is interesting because I don't know how many times this year in 2nd grade we've seen a vertical number line, but good for us to know that number lines can be horizontal like they were in problem number 1, and they can also be vertical, just like this one here. Down at the bottom, those are my sentences. So sentence 1 says, Dylan is shorter by blank feet, and the basketball hoop is taller by blank feet. So I can't fill this part out until I do my number line. So it's kind of hard to get the full number line in the picture here, but I'll do my best. Okay, down at the very bottom, that's our 0. And then up at the top, that's getting cut off, that's our 20. So I'm going to mark my 2 measurements on my number line. The first measurement that I'm going to mark is the basketball hoops measurement, which was 10 feet. So I find 10 on the number line, and I put my dot at 10. Then my second measurement is 4 feet. That's how tall Dylan is. So I find 4 on the number line, and I mark it. Next, I just take my bunny hops. So, starting at 4, which is my starting point, I'm going to hop all the way up until I get to 10, which is my ending point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like number 1. I draw my arrow to show where I land. So, Dylan is shorter by 6 feet, and the basketball hoop is taller by 6 feet. So the difference between the 2 lengths is 6 feet. Now it's your turn to do some independent practice. So you're going to head to Google Classroom and you're going to find the same 2 options as always. Option 1 is to print out the worksheets and to complete them by hand, and then to follow the seesaw link to do your math presentation. Option 2 is to complete the template on Seesaw, and then also to do your math presentation on Seesaw. So, good luck with your comparing today, and I can't wait to see your work.